You may recognize this Alpha ESS unit, and I did do a booth review at the CES 2023 event in Las Vegas, where I did go to the Alpha ESS booth. Now, I tested this AP1000 unit previously, and it had some issues. So they asked if they could send another unit and I could retest it, and that's what this video is all about, to see how well its inverter does as far as inverter efficiency, solar rechargeability, and just normal ease of use. So I'm going to go over all of those things, as well as all the accessories and how it performed, because this may be a unit that you want to get, but you need to know how well it works. I'm gonna go ahead and dive into all of that. My name's Ben. This is Minuteman Prep YouTube channel. I appreciate you being here. Let's get right into it. Now what it does come with is the unit itself, a wall charger, and then the user manual. Now going through the user manual, it is clear as to all the specs, but it is a pretty thin user manual. There's not a lot of meat to it. It's a 1036 watt hour lithium NMC battery with a 1000 watt inverter. The solar input is supposed to be up to 180 watts solar input, and I'm going to test that with even their own solar panel in this video so we can see if it really does as advertised. Now the screen can be a little tricky to use. All you have to do is click this info button twice and that will engage the screen. And then each section that you want to turn on, for example, if you want to turn on these USB ports right here, you click that on. If you want to turn on these DC ports here, click that on. And this is one of the gripes that I have about the unit. When you turn on the AC outlets, you can probably hear that on my mic. The fans turn on and they continue to run regardless of the load. So if you are running nothing on this or running a heavy load, it doesn't matter. It continues to run the fans. And to me, that's a little annoying that it's not gauged with the load. So I'm gonna keep that turned off. I got the wall charger here, but no solar adapter. What are you guys thinking? This seriously frustrates me. Now I have the adapter and we are going to connect panels to this. Alpha ESS, you guys have to be including a solar adapter. Now you do get the solar adapter if you buy their solar panel, but what if you don't want to use their solar panel? I don't like it when companies are forcing people to use their own equipment to get all the same things. Jackery did the same thing, Energy did the same thing. There are multiple brands that basically force you to use their equipment so that way you're dependent on them. And I don't like that. I like to be able to use my own equipment because I already have so much equipment. And oftentimes people like you already have this equipment, like solar panels, and you want to be able to use it with different types of hardware. So anyway, rant over. I did get a very surprisingly good inverter efficiency out of this. I put a 0.2C discharge rate on this, which is basically a 200 watt load, and it ran for about 4.5 hours. I got an 87% efficiency out of the battery. What that basically means is I got about 880 watt hours of energy from the 1036 watt hour battery. So in the event that I needed to run something like a refrigerator, which this fully can run, I could run it for about 8 to 9 hours with no solar panels connected. So in the event of a power outage, if I wanted to run that fridge, then I could run that for about 8 hours at night, but it's obviously not going to last through the whole night, and I'll need the solar panels to be able to recharge it the next day if the grid is still down. Now, personally, this is not a big enough system for emergency backup power. It's just not enough battery, and especially not enough solar input. Let's go ahead and get right into the solar input and see how well that does. We're going to test this again with the Alpha ESS. We can see all the specs listed here on the bottom, as well as I got the user manual here. It says here the DC input is 12 to 24 volts at 180 watts max. The only way you can stay within that 24 volt range and even get close to 180 watts max is with a 12 volt 200 watt solar panel. So that's what I've got connected to this cable here. And once again, not even in the user manual does it say what the current or the amp rating is on this input. So I complained about this last time. It doesn't come with a solar adapter. Here I have a 5521 barrel plug to an MC4 adapter, and then this is a 5521 to 5525 adapter. So I have to plug this adapter onto this adapter in order to get it to go into here. For me, that this is not included is a huge frustration, and that they're using this type of plug is another frustration. We seem to be topping out here at 157. So this is rated to 180. We don't know what the current is that it can handle, but we know that it can do up to 24 volts. This 200 watt panel that I've been using today, I've tested on other units yesterday and today, and was consistently getting more than 200 watts out of each panel. So the fact that we're only getting 157 here shows me that that's the actual max that's going to be able to go into that with this charge parameter set. So we're getting 157 out of 180. It's not horrible, but obviously it's not great because we're not reaching that max input. So you take it for what it is. That's what you can do with it. So Alpha ESS also sent a solar panel. It's a 23.7 volt VOC. That's the open circuit voltage. It's a 200 watt solar panel. Inside, they have an Anderson to Anderson heavy gauge solar cable, as well as a 5521 to Anderson adapter cable. So that's where the adapter is. You have to buy their solar panel in order to get the adapter. And on the solar panel, it's an Anderson adapter. What they should have done, in my opinion, because this panel locks them into only being able to really use this panel with their system, is they should have just done an Anderson connector on the unit itself, and then we get to use our standard MC4 connectors to make life easy, since more than 98% of all systems out there use MC4 connectors for their solar attachments. So this really limits them quite a bit. What I'm gonna do is, because I don't wanna use these Anderson connectors, is I'm going to take an MC4 to Anderson adapter and I'm going to plug that in onto here, and then I can use my MC4 cables to reach inside. That way I don't have to have the unit within 8 feet of the panels, because that's very unrealistic. I wanna be able to use the power source inside where I need it and have the panels outside in the sun. Now Anderson is very simple to work with. All I'm going to do is pair that red with that red and this black with that black. They don't even have to be joined together, but you can join them. They have these little slots and they allow you to make it one piece. And then that should still work. Sometimes it's a little bit of a tight fit, but look at that, works perfectly. Now I have MC4 on here rather than Anderson. One thing I just noticed on the panel is it does have these other adapters here. So this allows you to use different solar panels, I guess. So you can see we've got a barrel connector here to what looks like an 8mm and a 5521. So this folds out really easily, and it's got legs on the back here that Velcro out and hold in place. But you have to be super careful when lifting these, because if you were to pick this up just like this, the weight of this alone and my pressure with my fingers is going to end up cracking these cells. That's why I've moved away from flexible panels, is because generally they're too easy to damage. Even if the wind gets to them, the wind came along and flopped this, then these cells could very likely be damaged just from one single event. It's got a lot of these loopholes here. Looks like you can string it up, hang it up on a wall or a vehicle or something like that. So for portability's sake, it's great. Now let's see what kind of output we get from it. All right, moment of truth. I've got all of my adapters set up here. I don't know if this is gonna fry it or not. And this looks wrong to me, but we're gonna see what happens here. See, the way that it comes off, normally the black has the female connector and the red has the male connector. But you can see it's backwards on here, and that's a big issue because that means that the solar panel is wired that way. Because I'm just using adapters to adapters, you can't do this wrong here when you use normal connectors. So you can see as I connect this, this is why I'm concerned, is I've got the black going to the red and the red going to the black. I mean, it seems like it's reversed on here, and this literally may fry it. Let's see what happens. Nothing. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that doesn't work. I decided against doing all those adapters, so I have this one here, which is the barrel to Anderson, and then I just got the Anderson coming right off the solar panel there. We're gonna see what kind of input we get. And we are officially getting 176 watts with the 200 watt solar panel on a charge controller that can only do 180 according to what the specs say. But overall, that's actually really good. I'm very impressed that it can do that much. So if you wanted to pair this unit with that solar panel, it would be a good option, except for the fact that the solar cables are super short. You can see here I've got the 200 watt solar panel out, and I've got that 6-foot cable going into the unit there. And when these conditions with the 200 watt panel, that has a charge controller that'll let in 180, and we are getting 175 into it. It's really hard to tell in the lighting here. Right now it says 171, but I've seen as high as 175 on it. So it is working well with what they advertise, but the problem is this 6-foot cable is way too short. I don't like that it uses these Anderson connections right here into this 5521 barrel connector. I just think that's a poor choice. Why not make that an Anderson? And then you could use MC4 connectors all the way through to the panel, and then the panel as well to have MC4 connectors on it. I think that was a poor choice, but bottom line, the question is it working? And the answer is yes, we are getting near max solar input, so that part is good with this Alpha ESS setup. It's still not going to be fully chargeable in a day while still running equipment, and that's a big problem. So 175 watts in with the solar panel, not so bad. The folding solar panel is convenient in the sense that it's very portable, and it allows you to get the proper adapter, but the results speak for themselves. So in the end, the question is this something that I would personally buy for emergency preparedness? It could probably work if you were in a van life setup where you're not using a lot of power and you just have a single 200 watt panel on the roof of the van or posted outside in the sun. And if you're just running things like a laptop and a fan, then yeah, I think it could work. But it would probably not be my first choice, which means it's not my top recommended. And for systems of this size, it's really hard to give a top recommendation. So for help with that, just shoot me an email to info@poweredportablesolar.com. Be happy to answer your questions to figure out what system can work best for you at the best price. So that way you know you're getting the best deal out there. But as far as this system goes, it's probably not one that I would use myself or recommend anyone else, which is unfortunate. But it is what it is. I would not use this to try to be prepared or have portable power. I think it's too big for easy portable power, and there are smaller units that I could use to get the same thing done, basically. So that's my review of the AP1000 from Alpha ESS. Hopefully you found it helpful. Remember guys, to prepare for self-rescue, and I'll see y'all in the next video.